Alright, let me just start off with this. I mean, everybody's right now crucifying, criticizing Marcus Smart for what happened on Saturday night. Apparently, he went up to block a shot against Texas Tech. He falls into a row right near some fans. He gets up, and some wise guy says something to him, and Smart shoves him. And now, I mean, everybody wants to crucify and criticize Mr. Smart, saying, oh, he's a bad kid and everything, and, you know, well, let's just look at it this way. You know, both sides were foolish. First, Mr. Smart, there's a fine line between fans and also players, how they interact, and you pole vaulted right over that line. 'Cause you know what? It's a good thing to mingle with fans, but do it on your own time. It's never good to do it during a game, although it is nice to get the fans up by going like this, you know, encouraging the fans to cheer louder. We love that. But you know what? You don't physically touch or shove a fan, even if he is an opposing fan. There's just no place for that. But the truth is, on the other hand, let's look at what Mr. Triple Chin did. I mean, apparently his name is Mr. Orr, and he didn't come out of a boat. Let's just look at him. Apparently he apologized for saying that he called Smart a piece of crap. Quote, piece of crap, unquote. That's the operative word. Well, you know something? I don't believe you, Mr. Orr. I'm certain that you said a certain disparaging word about African Americans that begins with N. That's probably why Smart reacted the way he did. Thing is, apparently this isn't the first time that you've done something controversial to the opposing team. Several years ago, video caught you giving the finger and also saying something to a Texas A&M player. You know, Texas Tech might say you're a super fan. Super fan for what? Super fan for acting juvenile? Well, you want to know something, Mr. Orr? There's no place for that. You're just as much to blame as Mr. Smart for this whole shebang. And let me tell you something. Marcus Smart, apparently, I would love to see Oklahoma State and Syracuse collide in the NCAA tournament if it ever comes to fruition. He is probably one of the top 5 basketball players in the country. Although they're going to say his draft stock is going to go down by this. But I will tell you something, Mr. Orr. Your fat Texas ass, and that woman who stood right next to you and went, when Mr. Smart did that, are not going to be welcome in the Carrier Dome if Texas Tech should come to play Syracuse in the coming years. Keep your fat Texas ass and your racial taunts away from upstate New York. And while I go from that, I'm going to go to something that kind of is a little depressing, but it's the way it is when it comes to Obamacare. Because you know something? I heard a story a few days ago. After nearly 40 years, the Captain and Tenile have decided to call their marriage off. Because apparently there's been a few issues. One of them apparently with the Captain's health care. Boy, I tell you what, it's really depressing when the group that gave us that iconic hit, Love Will Keep Us Together, and a group that my mom loved dearly. She loved listening to the Captain and Tenile. I can't tell you how many times I've heard Love Will Keep Us Together or Do That to Me One More Time. Well, apparently the Captain and Tenile aren't going to do that to you one more time. Because apparently it's about the health care. Because the Captain has been suffering from Parkinson's disease the last few years. And he used to make magic with those keyboards on their hits. But Parkinson's has pretty much taken away his effective ability to play the keyboards. And of course, because the Captain and Tenile were such a team, probably caused a lot of depression. But you know, apparently the big flap is with healthcare. Well, you know what? You can strike one up for Obamacare. And you know what? It ended a long marriage that should have kept them together. 40 years. Wow. That's something. But if it ends because of healthcare, another mistake by President Obama. Well, now let me get to the Olympics, shall we? Because I will tell you, it's been a pretty good few days there in Sochi. I mean, some pretty good performances by our snowboarders and that. But I want to focus on one thing, the luge. Because, I mean, that was a hell of a competition for the men. Especially two lugers who've been to 7 and 6 Olympics and having pretty good days. And that one who was in 6 Olympics having an incredible feat, winning his 6th consecutive medal in the same event. No other athlete, winter or summer, has done it. His name is Armin Ziegler. But the truth is, he represents Italy. You gotta think about that for a minute. But you look at Italy's history in the Winter Olympics. Many of their Olympians have come from the area of northern Italy right up by the border with Austria, called South Tyrol. Apparently years ago, that area was under German hands, and a lot of the population in South Tyrol is of German heritage, which is why over the years you've had names like Paul Hildgardner, Oswald Hazelrider, Gerda Weichensteiner, and other like that, representing Italy. Sounds more sauerbraten than spaghetti. You gotta wonder. I mean, you think you'd hear Paul Hildgardner representing Italy. That doesn't quite stick. Now you hear a name like Alberto Tomba, and it does sound right. Oh, I wonder what I'm gonna have for dinner tonight when I watch the luge. Am I gonna have sauerbraten or spaghetti? Maybe I'm gonna go get some linguine with a side of beer. Who knows? Just a little food for thought, shall we? And let me just say, the Orange keep rolling along. It's another victory, especially the first one we've ever had against Clemson on the hard court. Although we did have to work for it again. But of course, after their off game against Notre Dame, C.J. Fair and Jeremy Grant again rose to the occasion. But everybody's going to be worried about Baikita. He went down with what looked like a knee sprain, and he's day-to-day. Baikita, our depth is going to be called into question as we're heading into the latter part of the season, especially with Pitt coming up tomorrow night and on Saturday against North Carolina State. You want to know something? We're still number 1 in the country, unanimous. But we need a lot of depth because we're heading into the part of the season that counts. And of course, next Saturday, it's the return match against Duke down in Cameron Indoor Stadium. That's all I got for this week. But I will tell you, my hat's off to someone we lost last night. Shirley Temple passed away at 85. She was a great actress and a great ambassador for entertainment and for the United States. And you know what? It's pretty cool when all those kids drink ginger ale, grenadine with a Menacerino cherry. My hat's off to you, Shirley Temple. Thank you. And I'm Ken Haas, and that's what I gotta say for this week.